Hiya guys, hope you're all good. And what is it? Today is Friday the 2nd of August 2019, so I thought I'd do a quick update for you. What did July bring us? It brought us these, the engine core for the Hellcat, the resin part, and you've bought them in your droves. And it also brought us these, the fuel tanks for the Hellcat, and you bought them in your droves. So that's pretty cool, and it puts money into my account for buying more kits. And if you watch my Hellcat build, you'll have seen me use the dummy fuel tank, that one, the semicircular one, which is actually the reserve tank, goes underneath the pilot's seat, and you can see it up through the hatch in there. So yeah, so I started gluing this together now, and I was really chuffed because I filmed this, because getting all this together and getting that instrument panel in there is a complete and utter nightmare. And I thought, I'll film it. So I filmed it all. Great. After I'd finished filming, I thought I'd just check to see how much space I've got on the camera. So I went into there, being it's an iPhone, went in there, picked up all the photos. As you know, you press select, tick them all, delete. Go to recently deleted, delete them from there, and you get your memory back. Yep, I deleted the ones I just filmed as well. So, great. So I can't now show you on this one getting all this together, but I will be able to show you when I do the FAA one. But believe me, it is a pain. And you can see I've got a cocktail stick in here, which is keeping the instrument panel forward while the glue dries. The instructions Airfix tell you to glue the instrument panel to this side here. I glued it into that side because there's a groove that it actually sits in. So I glued it into that groove first, because certainly on my kit all of this was misshapen. On the front it was all sort of up like this, and it had to be pulled and rolled down. I haven't glued the bulkhead purely because the bulkhead will determine the angle the engine sits on, I think. So we'll find that out. So I haven't glued it in yet, because if the engine ends up like that, then I need to pull the bulkhead forward and fix it in position. If the engine's like that, I need to move the bulkhead back. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously I've got to put that ring in the bottom there. One other thing of note, you'll see I've got this plastic block. There's a little plastic pin on the bottom of the fuselage, and I just wanted to protect it, so I put this block on there with a hole drilled around the pin so it doesn't get snapped off. And then lo and behold, you get to no less than step 294 in the instructions, and they tell you to cut it off. Great. So I'm going to get on and get this all glued together, and then we'll start looking at the engine, I think. So that's one of my ongoing projects you all know about. Another of my projects is this one, the Bronco. Haven't touched this since the last video, which I think was about a week, 10 days ago. Booms are on, all glued up nice and solid now. Well, not solid, but they're glued up, and they're on there. If you haven't watched this video, the series of videos, watch the review first and then watch the videos. You'll really like it. I call it Building the Bronco My Way. And if you look at the reviews and see how Kitty Hawk suggests building it, then I think you'll agree that my way is a bit better. You also see I've got brass rod going across there. I'm going to have to make up some fillets, I think, to basically glue the actual side of the boom here into the upper wing, because it's all a bit sort of very low contact area. The whole kit is very low in contact. You can see here on the inside of this area here, all you've got, it's all backwards, all you've got is that edge to glue the wing to there. So, you know, there's no locating tabs or flanges or anything, so you've got to be a little bit careful with it. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, have a look, guys. I'll also show you in there how to remove the rudders and put the radius piece in and make it so that, because every single control panel on this aircraft is separate except for the rudders. Don't know why they did that, and I thought I want to get them all a little bit posed off and have them all a little bit turned, just add a bit of interest. But love this kit, absolutely love it. I've heard so many bad things about Kitty Hawk kits. I love this. The plastic is a dream to work with, and I'm really enjoying it. But I think if I built it as they laid out in the instructions, it would be in the bin by now, I think. And also, the rest of you will be pleased to know this one is coming along. I'm making a video as we speak today on this horrible thing. You can see, even with all the work I did, we've still got a gap down the wing there, but we'll get that cured. There's no problem there. I've also had to add some plastic card inside the elevator there because I think I sanded too much off. I don't think that was Edard's fault. But yeah, it's coming on. Wings are on now. The glue's still curing, so I'll get some more work done on this later on or tomorrow. I get a film up this for you tomorrow. As far as subscribers now, which is 6 o'clock Friday evening, 4,393. Brilliant, thanks guys. I can't believe it. You just keep coming in your droves. It's brilliant, and really loving it. And I'm noticing I'm getting more and more hits now. You know, videos getting 1,500 hits in 24 hours is fantastic. I haven't counted the Hellcat hits, but if you remember last month, I think I counted it, and it was something like 75,000 hits. So yeah, busy times. I haven't sold that many engine cores, mind you. I only sold 73,000 engine cores. I also like to thank my new patrons who've gone over to Patreon and decided to sort of pledge some money to the channel. I don't know if any of you know, I don't work. I have no income. I'm sort of living off my savings for now. I think I'm going to start looking for a job again soon. Building models at home all the time is great, but it wears a bit thin after a while. I'm finding my mojo gets sapped a lot more easily than it did when it was more of a hobby than an obsession, if you like. So that's why things tend to slow down a bit, I guess. Yeah, I want to thank my July patrons who joined in and pledged some money to the channel. It's Joseph McClintock and Anthony Guerra. Thank you very much. There's 20 of you guys now which donate money every month, and you know, it's just a couple of pounds, but it's goes a long way, and I reckon probably nearly there with getting a camera now. I'll need to start seriously looking. A few of you have made suggestions for cheaper cameras. Thank you very much on Amazon, like, you know, for 100 or 120 quid. And I looked through the reviews, and there was some pretty worrying stuff there. Like there's one with a 8x digital zoom that's slower than an iPhone. So yeah, great. So I think I'd rather spend the sort of 3-4 times that and get something that has a proper, you know, proper name like Sony or JVC or Toshiba or Canon or something. And you know, if it says it's going to be 8x zoom, it's going to be whoop, it's going to be zoom. But what I really want is something like Phil Flory's got that I can put above me up here, and then have the picture being blasted onto a monitor or something, and then that's what he does, and then he can zoom in up and down. So if I'm working on the Hellcat on the bench like this, you know, you can watch me build and build and build. But if you want to see the close-up detail on the headrest, you come in like this, you know, or like this, should I say. And yeah, and this camera doesn't focus, but I want to be able to do that. But I don't want to move it to the camera, I want to move the camera to it. So that's what Phil does with the remote control, so that's what I want to go for. As long as the channel keeps growing, then it's worth spending the money, isn't it? So yeah, I've had a couple of questions. One thing I will say about questions, I'm getting a lot of emails from people now asking questions about stuff, and what do I think of this and what do I think of that. If you get ignored, give it a couple of days and perhaps ask the question again. Some days I'm getting like 50 emails, and you can imagine, you know, getting up in the morning, make a cup of coffee, go to the computer. I've answered a load of questions and it's 11 AM. It's like, what? You know, it's really taking a lot of my time, and I'm going to have to stop doing it because, you know, I have to have a life, and I have to do this, that and the other, and go shopping and stuff, and sleep and eat and that. And if I spend 3 hours on the computer answering questions, that's 3 hours I'm not at the bench making videos. So if you do get ignored, by all means ask them, carry on, because some days I only get 2, some days I get none. But some days, like there was one day last week, I had about 35 questions, and I was like, oh my god, you know. So that's absolutely fine, but obviously if you do get ignored, give it a couple of days, ask the question again, because I'm going to have to start just ignoring them, because I can't spend so much time answering them. I'm sorry. The other thing is people have been asking me about zinc chromate. I've realised that starting this Hellcat is a massive subject, and some people don't understand, I think, what it really is. Yellow zinc chromate primer, which I use this Tamiya XF4, I've also got the Guns yellow zinc chromate primer. I've actually got some zinc chromate primer real stuff. It's like a two-part put together, and you mix it up and spray it on, and it's basically a zinc chromate etching primer. And I remember once I used it on a car I was doing some bodywork repair, and I think it was a Sherpa van or something, welding new wheel arches into it. And obviously I had bare metal, and obviously I'd finished the work. I thought, right, first thing I'm going to do is I'll put some of this etch primer on it. It's a yellow zinc chromate primer. And I put it on there, and then it rained, and it didn't rust. And it rained for about 8 days solid, 10 days solid, whatever, and it didn't rust. I couldn't believe it. It was like freshly ground back steel, welded together, two parts of steel but welded together, sprayed up this yellow primer, and they tell you to just put one thin layer on, and it didn't rust. It's amazing stuff. Apparently what they did in America, they mixed this with black to make the green colour. Now, interior green, zinc chromate green, whatever you want to call it, I think it's all the same thing. There's also a bronze green, be careful, which is what the Thunderbolts had. They had a bronze green cockpit. I think some early B-17s had it as well. That's a completely different colour. That is actually a green paint. But yeah, the zinc chromate, I mean, here we've got the real colours AK RC262, and then here I've got the Guns H58, and then this is the Vallejo 71010 interior green. And if we look at the difference in colour on those three, look at that. You can see they're all completely different. Now, I swear this one is too light. I swear this one is more like an interior grey green for English, for British aircraft. And I think these two are probably correct. And what's really nice is you can mix and match. Like if you look in this cockpit, I don't know if you'll be able to see in there. I don't think you can, but if you look at my other videos, you'll see the seat has been painted with this, and the rest of the cockpit has been painted with this. So you get a bit of a contrast. And I also did, if you remember, I did some dry brushing with the AK, which made it really, really pop. So that's another good tip. This is a fantastic colour, so for dry brushing. So if you have got like XF71, which is a UK interior green, then perhaps use that for dry brushing your cockpit. It does really make a difference, especially if you've washed it. So so there we go. Yeah, so basically zinc chromate yellow was a yellow primer that was used to protect the metal, and then apparently they mixed it with black to 10-1 or something, and that gave you your interior green. I guess they didn't want to paint the cockpits yellow. So and I've been speaking a lot with a wonderful guy, Peter Wilstein, who's known as Peter Pools on the on the forums. He's well known on large scale planes and large scale modeler. He's also been on Flory models and everything as well. Lovely chap, lovely guy, and we've been discussing a lot about Hellcat colours and stuff, and it was him that eventually convinced me that in here was actually yellow, not green. And if you remember, I painted it green. Apparently everything forward of the front main spar is green. Okay, now the literature I've got says that the area around the engine could be yellow or green. So I think I might do a bit of a mix and match on mine. I might do the framework yellow and everything inside green. But they're fairly close colours anyway. I mean, when you look at them next to each other, they're not a million miles apart. Especially if you look at those two. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that Hellcat is a wonderful kit. If you haven't got one, get one. It is bloody wonderful. It's got a few fit issues. You know, getting that fuselage together has been a lot of fun, and trying not to damage anything, because the trouble is all this in here is so fragile and flimsy, and you know, all the air scale stuff, all the little knobs and levers I've made and that, and such a shame if I lost any of that now. So yeah, that's all cute. I'm going to leave that 24 hours to go off solid, because there's a lot of glue in there holding that all together. And if you're wondering what the two little pieces of cocktail stick there are for, what I do with that is it's so that I can glue it after it's held down. If you just put the rubber bands over and then glue, the glue will capillary underneath the rubber bands and make a hell of a mess. So so there we go. The Junkers 88 I haven't just dropped. I will get back onto that probably this weekend. And as I say, this one we want to get done and dusted so we can get on with that one there. I know there's a lot of you who are desperate to get that. I know a lot of you have gone out and bought the kit. A few of you have emailed me and told me all about it. A lot of you have sent me pictures of all the extras and stuff you've bought. And yeah, I think you're really looking forward to that one. And believe me, I think I've done 2 build-alongs so far, and they've both been complete nightmares, especially for beginners, which is what these build-alongs are really aimed at. And it's people who need motivation to keep themselves going, which is like me. I'm well renowned for not finishing stuff. So yeah, desperate to get on with that one. As you know, David in Florida, what a guy. He sent me the big Ed etch set for that. So, you know, just to sort of help out the channel really. And in return, I sent him some resin parts. Oh, and by the way, if there's anything else you guys think you would like in resin for this Hellcat, or for anything really, let me know, because you know, I'm thinking about getting the proper vacuum kit and everything now, so when I make stuff I don't get any bubbles in it. Because there are a few bits and pieces of bubbles on these. If you look on the back of that one, I don't know if you can pick it up, but there's no, you can't get it in the light. There's a bubble on the back of there. I mean, it's simple enough to fill. It's a tiny little filler job, but you know, I'd rather not have them in there. And certainly if you're making stuff like cockpit interiors and seats, you can't have bubbles. Although I did notice all over the surface of these tailplanes there's bubbles. Unbelievable. I thought they were rivets, but they're not. They're bubbles, which is pretty poor. So there we go, guys. That is it, I think, for the August update. If you're not already a patron or Patreon and you want to pledge a couple of quid to the channel, I would be most grateful. I'm trying to think of ways to sort of pay you back, and one of the things I did was I asked you when I did these resin cores, if you're a patron, let me know. And what I've done is given them some discount and free postage. But if you didn't tell me, then it might not have rung a bell, because what you did was email me. So yeah, and that really is about that. As I say, if you want anything else made in resin, drop me a line, let me know. And if enough of you want the same thing, then I'll make it. It's not a problem. Or for anything, you know. But the very highly detailed stuff, somebody said, would I make them a seat for the Lancaster the same as I did? Way too hard to do. I would have to take my seat apart, because I wouldn't be able to mould it as one, and it would have to be like a little resin kit almost. So yeah. And also one more thing, what I think of it, I've been talking about Hellcats in US Navy service and Hellcats in FAA service. I have found a photograph now of a Hellcat on a carrier deck, a Mark II Hellcat, British, on a carrier deck, and the harness is out over the side of the fuselage. It's a Sutton harness. I'll see you all soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.